good evening and a warm welcome to Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios right here in downtown Colombo. Good evening, Bandula.
Good evening, Paras.
Bandula Jaisek, I must say. Senior journalist, former diplomat.
Paras Shaukat, and then,
how are you?
Good. I mean, we had this in the morning and now we continue again this evening.
And we're delighted to have with us Dr. Harsha De Silva, candidate from the UNP in the Colombo district. Good evening and thank you for just about getting here.
Yes, it was a rush. Thank you.
A lot of traffic?
We had so many meetings that I had to attend to this evening before coming here. So,
and let's get straight to the point then. First time contesting, how do you feel?
Excellent, absolutely fantastic. I feel top of the world. I think my campaign has been on the rise and I am really excited.
Have you got enough funds, Harsha, to, because you're competing with the big wigs among even in your party?
I know we don't have anywhere near funds that some of our colleagues have, be it our party, be it the others. But I have been at this for a long time, Bandula. As a matter of fact, I started my Korte campaign on the 25th of August 2014. After 26,000 homes, I've already visited 17,800 homes. I haven't visited a single home during the campaign per se.
So you've got 17,000 files, Harsha?
Well, I got names written down on some files, not 17,000 files altogether.
These are files?
These are files.
So I'm sure you'd have visited his opponent, Bubba Lagamas house also.
Yes, he's a good bloke. He's a decent gentleman. So we don't have any issues in court per se. We have a clean contest, no violence. It's the way politics is supposed to be done. I congratulate him for the good work he's done. Hope he does well. Hope he also gets elected on his list.
Why are you visiting all these houses? Was that essential?
Well, I am, like you said, contesting for the first time.
Yeah.
And I took Korte just over 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm new to the electorate. So I need to know the people. I need to understand their problems. And I've realized some of the biggest problems that our people face in that part of the city is housing, and that's not just restricted to Korte, because I've been visiting Central Colombo, North Colombo, Avisaville, Ratmalana, Mount Lavinia, all these places. And you wouldn't believe sometimes, when you visit a home, homes are, 10 by 12 shacks and 3 families live in these homes. And in terms of Korte itself, we need about 2,000 new homes.
So these visits to these homes, was it triggered off by one of your potential voters challenging you to visit each home, or?
No, I wanted to do it, and I had a plan. We broke electorate into 280 streets, and we told them beforehand that we would be visiting that area. And for us, sometimes it's so pleasant. You go into a home and they've cancelled their appointments, sometimes consultant physicians, sometimes lawyers, and they stay home just to have a word.
Right.
So it's been a wonderful learning experience.
Is it because of your background as an economist that they reach out to you, and this is the first time you're reaching out to the people, having come to the parliament from the national list?
Yeah, I don't think that is the case. I think it is more of wanting to connect with the people. So I have, I sort of early on, I wanted to find out whether I was ready for this. Right? So when I started to interact with people, because like you correctly pointed out, Bandula, this is a first for me, and I didn't really know what to expect as a grassroots politician, and that really helped me to become who I've become, whoever I've become as a politician. So if people like what I do, if people appreciate what I stand for. If people think people like myself can contribute, then they will vote for me.
Harsha, as an economist, I'm going to ask you this question. The JVP, the Marxist ideology, what is the Marxist ideology in terms of economic policy?
You know, I was on a particular show this morning with a friend of mine, Lanka, JVP contestant from Colombo, and he said, look, you people, both the PA and UNP, have ruled this country for almost 60 years in regular intervals, but you have left the problems of labor, right, to us, right? Whether it is issues dealing with contractual employment, manpower agencies that we've been talking about in the recent past. So I told him, look, Clive, we have been really thinking about this, and that is something we've included in what we call the social market economy. The word social that we put in there directly addresses the issue of employee issues, right? In terms of dignity for the employee, tenure of employment contracts, pensions when you retire. So those kinds of ideas.
Well, Asha, in that context, maybe the JVP is right, because we're about the average birth rate is around 360,000 a year, and by grade 10 you find around 60,000 dropping off and going into other sort of jobs, and the other 300,000 go into further education and so on. And in the same way, 20,000 is the figure, the annual retirement from the public service. So you have this 280,000 who are looking for jobs. And what are you all doing about job creation?
Yeah, recently I met with 800 plus three-wheeler drivers at the National Library Auditorium. And I asked them how old they were. I gave them categories, age cohorts, right? So they said it was somewhere between 25 to 35, okay? I asked them, how many of you wanted to become three-wheeler drivers? And 3 people raised their hands. And the rest of them, overwhelming majority, 800 people, said, we are doing this because we have nothing else to do. So the kinds of jobs that are getting created are not the kind of jobs we want. Those are not the kinds of jobs that will make us a competitive economy. Those are not the kinds of jobs that will give you the ability to rise.
What are those jobs that we need then?
We need to create jobs that let our people plug themselves into the value chain in the global marketplace. Now,
so sort of in the service sector.
It can be services, it can be manufacturing. All what I'm saying is that these must become jobs that are worthy of being created. Now, for instance, the other day I had a young lady visit me with her mother, and she said to me, sir, could I please get this job changed? Can I get a transfer from where I am? I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm a graduate, I got graduate employment, one of the 20,000 jobs. But I do nothing. Right? Once in a while I do some survey with the Grama Seva Niladhari. Other times I read, I sew, things like that. But that technically reduces unemployment, right? And supposedly adds to the economy. But they don't. They in fact take away from the economy. So that is why I felt that we have been very careful in designing the new plan, which we call a knowledge-based, highly competitive social market economy. So in that highly competitive economy, we would create jobs that are comparable to the jobs that are getting created in Tel Aviv or in Dublin or in Kuala Lumpur. So that is the kind of job we want to create.
We noticed that for a party that has this Marxist ideology, that the JVP's plans for job creation seems to be a little bit more keeping in line with the bastion of capitalism, which I think is your party. Why is that? Why have you not addressed this issue properly, really? About creating jobs, because I think our growth each year will probably get worse because it's 0.93, I think, the growth, right? So we have this 280,000 people. The private sector will have to take the bulk of it. And in terms of we're looking to be service-orientated, we have no office space, hardly any office space. Any plans from the UNP to invest in office space? Because I think the returns are rather little, and private investment in that sector might need incentivizing. Any plans?
Yeah, I mean, look, the problem is that a kid, when he or she comes out of school at 19, it's already too late, right? Or 20, what opportunities do they have? Well, I spoke to you about the three-wheel example. Think about it. Just close our eyes for a moment. Let's not compare ourselves with the developed world. Let's compare ourselves with Malaysia, a country that was just like us only a few years ago. Close our eyes. Think we are 19 and we come out of school in KL. What opportunities we have, right? I mean, if I want to be a draftsman, if I want to be a welder in a dockyard, if I want to be a fashion design, right? If I want to become a journalist, opportunities exist, right? But in Sri Lanka, those opportunities don't exist.
I think we must create them. But in the meantime, we're going to take a short break, and we'll come right back with you. Stay with Newsline. Welcome back to Newsline with Dr. Harsha Silva and Bandula Jayasekara. Bandula, what should we ask Dr. Harsha?
Let's ask him what is hurting the UNP most. The bond issue. Is it? Well, because you all had carried full-page advertisements today trying to explain, but I don't know whether
I think we need Advertising Standards Authority, by the way, because none of those things would have appeared in the paper. Come on, let's answer the question.
Well, there are two things there, Bandula. One is, was there inside information used by persons in the investor community, here the brokers, to purchase bonds that somehow was unfair with the rest who didn't have that information. If there was leaked information, then that must be looked into, and if securities laws were violated, then they must be punished. And that is one. That is separate from this whole 6,000 billion
estimated over a 30-year period.
Yeah. So those two are separate things. While I am fully in agreement with dealing with the stringent possible way, if inside information was used and, like I said earlier, securities law was violated, I don't agree with that 60 billion figure.
No, I think there was somebody, I don't mean it exactly like this, but from your side, who wrote in one of the papers and said when one side was claiming it to be the loss was 42 billion, this other person was claiming it to be around 27. Whichever way, there is a loss.
Let me finish where I started first. See, one must step back and look at now, when Ilangaratne set up the Provident Fund, what did he want? He wanted working people's money saved in the provident fund and the fund to invest in various assets over a period of time, so that you can get a decent return. And in fact, very unusually, it was incorporated in the act itself that there should have been a certain percent return on an annual basis, and if that return was not forthcoming, EPF had to, or rather the government had to lend money to the EPF to make up that difference.
Right.
Then in 95 or so, when the markets were liberalized, particularly the bond markets and the government securities market, new regulations came into play. And those regulations was focused around creating a liquid and a competitive market for government securities. So therefore, from 95 onwards, government securities, instead of being placed privately, those days it was rupee securities, if you recall, bonds and bills were introduced and weekly auctions or regular auctions were introduced. And the principle was to auction the securities so people can bid and purchase. Now this was the practice till about 2008 when Mr. Cabra changed that regulation, and I have the board papers, the minutes I have with me. He said, look, the government is borrowing a lot and interest rates will rise if we borrow like this, so let us set interest rates for a period of time. And it was dictated that 6 months will be this rate, 1 year will be this rate, 2 years will be this rate.
I ask a question, apart from because we are running short of time, but now we want to ask something where when Mr. Wickremesinghe became the Prime Minister, how come you were not appointed the Minister of Finance?
Yes, that is a bit of a letdown.
You came on MTV, you were economist, you spoke on economy, so all that.
Yes.
Why?
Really? What happened? Were you disappointed?
No, come on.
You were disappointed.
Be truthful now, Asha.
I'm not going to answer that question, my dear friends, but I'm going to come back and finish that.
But we have to ask you another question. Because we are running out of time.
Please.
Yes.
So then what happened was that the competitive auctioning process was done away with.
Can we ask you this?
So let me just finish in 15 seconds.
Right.
So by bringing back competitive auctions, what happened was that what some people say is a loss is actually the amount transferred back to the EPF and the ETF. So the loss from one side of the coin is a gain to the working people's pension fund.
Right.
So therefore this loss is only a notional thing that people are using to criticize the
we need to move on. We've heard in various reports that Volkswagen is coming to Sri Lanka. We also noticed from some documentation that's been put out here and there that they're going to be assembling units that are of 500cc to 1000cc. I looked on the website. The Volkswagen don't make bikes. That's 500cc to 1000 appears to be bikes. What is it?
No, that is completely incorrect.
Right.
I think it is between 1000 and 1500cc, 1500, 1200, 1800, something like that. It's not less than 1000cc, but it is a three-stage process. Stage 1 is what we call CKD, complete knockdown. Second stage is SKD, semi-knockdown, and the third stage is manufacturing. VW is very particular that they will not let any unit outside Germany produce cars until and unless they are certain that the quality of the VW brand is maintained.
Right.
So we are going to start with the CKD, and only a limited number of vehicles will be sold in Sri Lanka.
Right.
They have given a plan.
Who is this agreement with? Is it with Volkswagen in Germany or with the local agent here?
The agreement is yet to be signed, but as far as I'm aware, it is VW Germany who will be getting into an agreement with the government of Sri Lanka, and whether they have their local agents here, that's another matter.
Yes, okay.
That's a normal process.
But $30 million is apparently the figure. But very low for a plant.
Certainly, I agree. Certainly very low for a
Volkswagen is leaving the US, they are leaving Canada, they are leaving all. Why should
why VW, by the way? Why not Toyota? They're much bigger in terms of success than...
it doesn't matter whether it is VW or Toyota. I mean, VW came to Sri Lanka first and wanted to do this. If Toyota came, I guess it's the same, would have been the same discussion.
But we still have an unanswered question.
Yeah.
Which is?
The Minister of Finance.
The Minister of Finance. You're not going to answer that?
No, I will not answer that.
Okay. What about the roads? Are you familiar with the roads, or shall we leave that for someone else? Okay. But you must agree, there's nothing called a free lunch, right?
Certainly not.
You pay somewhere for it.
Absolutely.
Well, that's good. I just want to take you a little bit to more current affairs. Wasim Tajuddin. This chap died. He was killed, unlawfully killed 3 years ago. And today, his body was exhumed. I think for that family, it must have been equally or more traumatic. All because of a half-baked, lopsided investigative process and the failure of, obviously, the senior police officer involved in that, who either by commission or by design or by omission didn't call for a JMO's report, nothing. He just closed the file on the basis that this is a car accident. What do you say to this breakdown in law and order?
I'm at a loss, right? Because this has been discussed for months, and I understand the agony what it could be like for the Tajuddin family to exhume this body at a personal level, but I don't want to comment on it honestly because I know nothing about this case. I also read and hear from the news about it, and I'm no lawyer. I can talk about economics. I will give you answers to your questions, but on this one, I will let the legal experts battle it out and investigation done properly. And
all right. Thank you very much, Dr. Harsh De Silva, for being on our network. We look forward to seeing you again, and good luck with your campaign.
Thanks.
And Daniel, thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor.
And we were going to talk about roads and highways and highway robberies. In that context, this saying might be appropriate. The road to success is always under construction. And on that note, I wish you a very good evening, and God bless you.